How's it going, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now, if you haven't been here before, welcome to my channel. I'm so glad to have you here. Today we'll be reading from Genesis chapter 38, Sons of Judah. Alright, let's get into this read. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down to his brethren and turned into a certain Adulamite, whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shula, or Shua. Sorry, I can barely pronounce these names, so bear with me, guys. And he took her and went in unto her, and she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name And she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. And she yet conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah. And he was a Chezib. When she bare him, and Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. Now, before we get into this read even more, I know it's been about 2 weeks since I posted another video like this. I've been pretty busy these past few weeks and pretty tired from work. So I'm going to try to continue on posting the Sunday sermons, and maybe Monday, if I can, post another video on miracles, the miracles of God, and how this world and us, we're basically a miracle of God. And God gave us everybody a gift. So I'm gonna try to, if I can and if I remember, Lord willing, I'm gonna try to post another video of that on Monday about the miracles of God. Now, I've been trying to write my sermons down and trying to write them down even better and do more research, but I'm still working on that. I'm not too good with writing down, remembering what I wrote down, or trying to read off the notes. I do better with reading things, remembering things, and saying them and talking about them as I go on in videos, if that makes any sense. Alright, I just wanted to say that real quick before we continue on. Now, let's continue this read. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And Judah said to Onan, Go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and rise up seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow at thy father's house, till Shelah, my son, be grown. And he said, Lest peradventure he died also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. And in process of time, the daughter of Shula, Judah's wife, died, and Judah was comforted, and went up unto his sheep shearers to Tamar, he and his friend Hebron in Adulamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, Behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath, to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way of Timnah. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. When Judah saw her, he brought her to be a harlot, because she had covered her face, or thought her to be a harlot, because she had covered her face. And he turned unto her by the way, and said, Go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, What wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come in unto me? And he said, I will send thee a kid from my flock. And she said, Wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? And he said, What pledge shall I give thee? And she said, Thy signet, and thy bracelets, and thy staff that is in thine hand. And he gave it to her, and came into her, and she conceived by him. Now, let's see the story here. So, let's see. Sorry, I can't remember where it's at. So when Judah saw her, he thought her to be a harlot, because she had covered her face. Now, we can see a show of lust here. That he didn't know that it was his daughter-in-law. But I'm guessing she probably knew, because, I mean, her face was covered, but his face wasn't. So she probably knew that it was her father-in-law, but he didn't know. But that does not have an excuse for lust. So because of lust, if we continue reading on, I don't remember what happens, but I think it causes pain. Because Judah ends up going in unto her, and she conceives a son or a daughter or a kid by her father-in-law. I think that's, lust, it really takes over your mind, and that's really upsetting. I don't remember this part of the story. It's been a while since I've read in the book of Genesis. Alright, let's continue on. If I can remember where I stopped at. And she arose and went away, and laid by her veil from her, and put on the garments of her widowhood. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend Adulamite to receive his pledge for the woman's hand, but he found her not. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, Where is the harlot that was here, that was openly by the wayside? And they said, There was no harlot in this place. And he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said, There was no harlot in this place. And Judah said, Let her take it, to be her last, her least. We be shamed. Behold, I sent the kid, and thou hast not found her. And it came to pass about 3 months later, or after, that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar, thy daughter-in-law, hath played the harlot. And also, behold, she is with child in her womb. And Judah said, Bring her forth, and let her be burnt. Now, we can see the mistake that was made here. Now, Tamar, she played the harlot. She put on the veil, she put on the clothing, and she plays a harlot. Now, Judah, we can see he's not at fault either, because he's the one who had a child with her. And we can see that it really messed things up. And how sin really messes things up. We can see that if you commit a sin, if you commit the sin of adultery or play a harlot, and that's a sin of lust. I mean, you go out, you seek other men or other women, and you commit the sin of lust, you commit adultery, and it brings pain to your family. And back then, you have either been stoned or burnt because of that pain, or because of that sin. Sin is very, very wrong, guys. It's very evil, and it causes pain, not just to the people you love, but to God also. You're basically kicking dirt in his son's face if you willingly commit sin constantly every single day without repenting. All right, let's continue on. Your daughter-in-law hath played the harlot, and also behold, she is with child by her womb, by whoredom. And Judah said, Bring her forth, and let her be burnt. And she was brought forth. He sent to her She sent to her father-in-law, saying, By the man whose these are, am I with child? And she said, Discern, I pray thee, who are these by signet, bracelet, and staff? And Judah acknowledged them, and said, She hath been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not Shelah, my son, and that he knew her again no more. She brings forth twins. And it came to pass in the time of her travel that, behold, twins were in her womb. Now, let's stop right there. We can see that Judah acknowledges that she was more righteous than him, because he's the one who basically went unto her, and he tried to kill her, even though he was also to blame. He admits it, and that's what we need to do today. We need to admit our sins to God and ask for his forgiveness every single day, and that our sins be taken, and that we may not sin no more. All right, let's continue on. And it came to pass, when she traveled, that one put out his hand, and the midwife took it, and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, This came out first. And it came to pass that he drew back his hand, and behold, his brother came out. And she said, How hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee. Therefore his name was Pharez. And afterward came out his brother, that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was Zara. All right. Well, that's the end of that chapter. I still have a little bit of trouble reading from the King James Version, but I think I'm slowly getting the hang of it. I mean, that was basically the first book I started out with, the King James Version. That was basically the first book I read. But then I went to the Holloman version, and now I'm listening or reading the New International Version. Now, I like all of the versions I read so far. The New International Version, the King James Version, New King James Version, and the Holloman Bible. I like all those Bibles. But I do find the New International Version easier to read. But the King James Version, I do like it. But I take the New International Version where I go, because it's easier to read, and I think it's a little bit better than the King James. I don't know what your preference is, but I like the New International Version. Alright, I'm going to end the video there. Thank you guys for watching or listening, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it brought you a little closer to knowing more about the Lord and how righteous and merciful He is. I love you guys. I'll see you guys next time, and God bless.